Hello, my name is Emmanuel MONNERON and I'm a French psychiatrist. I work in a public hospital in France, and this is the third video of a series called Psychiatry and the Troubled Teen Industry. If you don't know what the troubled teen industry is, you can follow the links in the description of the video to visit the Breaking Codesilence movement website, where you will find important and useful information. This third video is going to be about isolation and mechanical restraints in the troubled teen industry. Maybe the first thing I should say that in France there are only a few professionals and a few places legally allowed to use isolation or mechanical restraints. From what I know, only the police and some medical professionals are allowed to make these decisions. So I'm going to try talking about why and how these measures are used in psychiatry. Working in an adult psychiatric unit in a public hospital sometimes implies taking care of patients with delusions and hallucinations. And because of these symptoms, some patients can become aggressive or violent, most of the time because they are scared. They hear terrifying stuffs or are under the impression that we want to harm them, and sometimes we have to prescribe isolation or mechanical restraints to keep them safe and to keep the people around safe too. So this is always a difficult decision to make, and in 2017 the Health Ministry in France published some recommendations about isolation and restraints. So the document is 45 pages long and describes the situations when isolation or restraints can be justified. These situations are mostly uncontrollable, violent situations, and the recommendations start with contraindications, and here is what the document says. Isolation and mechanical restraints should never be used to punish, to inflict pain or humiliation, or to establish any kind of dominance. In psychiatry, we know pretty well that isolation can be traumatizing and have side effects. These recommendations were written to increase control over these measures at the hospital. So isolation can only be prescribed by a trained psychiatrist and only for 12 to 24 hours. It only happens if all the other solutions have been tried, and isolation is only used as a last resort. A new prescription is necessary each day, and the decision is made after a daily medical exam of the patient. A special form has to be filled each day too, and these documents are classified and kept available at all times for any control by competent authorities. During isolation, the nurses visit the patient each hour to make sure the patient is safe and comfortable, and they do their best to comfort and support the patient with kindness. Mechanical restraints is something we try to avoid as much as possible. It's important to know that besides the fact that it's traumatizing, it also causes dangerous side effects like thromboembolic accidents such as phlebitis or pulmonary embolism. That's why anticoagulants have to be prescribed at all times if a patient is restrained. Not being able to move also causes severe skin damages. These side effects have to be monitored every hour by qualified professionals, and in pediatric units, restraint systems are usually replaced by bed sheets, and a nurse has to stay at all times with the child. If restraining a child is necessary, the parents must be informed immediately and just after the procedure. The fact that isolation and restraints are used frequently in the troubled teen industry is well known. Some facilities claim they do not use it just because they keep children in open rooms. So let's be super clear about that. Forcing a child to stay alone, silent, and still in an open room is isolation. It's also well known that isolation is a very common punishment in residential treatment centers, and it can happen anytime a child breaks a rule. The testimonies of the survivors are filled with examples of why a student can be sent in isolation, like making eye contact with another student, talking without being allowed to, writing or saying negative things about the program, not finishing a meal, and there are a lot of other examples. None of this justifies using isolation or restraints. Some victims of these facilities explain that they were kept in stress positions, or wrapped in blankets and duct tapes, or simply kept on the ground with a staff member seated on their back. All these situations are very, very dangerous, especially because the staff there is absolutely unqualified, and sometimes they even ask other students to watch the isolated or restrained students. Although isolation or restraints should only be used as a last resort in case of uncontrollable violent situations, we know that in the troubled teen industry facilities, it's used to inflict pain or humiliation, which are the exact contraindications I mentioned earlier. It's also used to punish, which is completely unethical and inappropriate. The point is always the same in these facilities. They want to keep as many children as they can in the programs and making them stay as long as possible. They are charging the parents as much as possible while making the programs as cheap as possible. They hire insufficient and unqualified people, and finally they terrorize the children to make sure they won't talk about what they went through during the program. That's why it's very important to follow the Breaking Code Silence movement on social media, to read the testimonies, to read the stories of the survivors, and to sign the petition to shut down Provo Canyon School, which is a very important symbol, and it's only the beginning of a big change. You can also sign the petition to reform the troubled teen industry. All the links are in the description under this video. I thank you very much for watching this video, and there will be more videos soon. Thank you.